Ghostly tales, yet mirrors of human life. Hey, everyone! Welcome to Encountering Chinese. Ghostly Tales from Liao Zhai. Today, I'm going to tell you a story called A Mutated Corpse. In Chinese, it is named 尸变. In ancient Chinese culture, it was believed that people would turn into ghosts after death. These ghosts could generally be divided into two different types. One type was more ordinary, comprising both men and women, as well as older individuals and children. They possessed human emotions and existed in a different world. The other type was entirely different, often horrifying and malevolent, known for killing or devouring humans. It was this kind of ghost that people commonly feared. Now, I will tell you a story about a terrifying ghost. Please note, if you, like me, feel frightened by ghostly tales, I suggest you listen to this story during the daytime. In Yangxin County, there was an elderly man from Sidian village. He lived only about 5 or 6 miles away from the county town. In that area, the old man and his son ran an inn by the roadside, offering lodging to travelers passing through the village. Several cart drivers frequently passed by their inn, carrying goods and resting at the old man's place when they got tired. Over time, the old man became acquainted with these travelers. One evening, 4 cart drivers arrived at the old man's inn, seeking accommodation. However, all the rooms were already occupied. The drivers were exhausted and unable to make it to the county town before dark. They pleaded with the old man to find a solution for them. The old man thought for a moment and finally came up with a place for them to stay, albeit hesitantly. Dear guests, my daughter-in-law has just passed away, and her body is laid out in the house. My son is not at home. He went to buy wood for the coffin and won't be back today. Thus, that room is empty for now, and there's a large bed inside. If you don't mind, I can take you there to rest. The cart drivers were a little concerned, but considering that they were in a group of 4, they agreed. So, the old man led them to his son's residence. Inside the room, they saw a wooden table with a dimly lit oil lamp on it. Behind the table, there were white mourning curtains hung for the deceased. Through the curtains, they could faintly make out the figure of a person lying flat, likely the old man's daughter-in-law. On the other side of the room was a bedroom with a large bed, spacious enough for all 4 of them to sleep on. The cart drivers were utterly exhausted, and the sight of the bed made them even sleepier. Without hesitation, they lay down on the bed, and soon, the room filled with the sound of snoring. However, one of the cart drivers couldn't fall into a deep sleep. He felt somewhat scared and was lying half awake, half asleep. Suddenly, he heard a faint clicking sound coming from the area of the mourning altar. He opened his eyes hastily and looked towards the altar. Since the bedroom was dark, the living room appeared relatively bright, and he could see things clearly. To his astonishment, the corpse of the woman lifted the paper covering her body and sat up straight. What's more, she stood up and slowly walked into the bedroom. The cart driver could see the woman's face with a pale yellow hue and a white cloth tied around her head. The woman approached the big bed and bent over, blowing her breath directly onto the faces of each of the 4 cart drivers. The awake driver was terrified and afraid that the woman's breath would also reach his face. He quickly covered his head with the blanket and held his breath. The cart driver listened silently to the sounds outside his blanket. Before long, the female corpse indeed approached him. Just like with the other cart drivers, the female corpse blew her breath at him and then walked out of the bedroom. The cart driver faintly heard the footsteps of the female corpse getting farther away, as if she had left the room. After a while, he heard the sound of moving paper. The cart driver cautiously peeked out from under the blanket to observe the living room, and he saw the female corpse lying stiffly in her original position. The cart driver was overcome with extreme fear. He didn't dare make a sound and secretly nudged the person next to him with his foot, but that person remained motionless, showing no response at all. The cart driver had no other option but to think. I should put on my clothes and escape. With this thought, he sat up and prepared to grab his clothes. Just then, the clicking sound started again. The cart driver was terrified. He didn't dare move and could only slowly lie back down, hiding his head back under the blanket. He faintly heard the female corpse returning to him, blowing air on him multiple times before finally leaving. After a while, he heard the sound of the female corpse returning to her lying position on the morning bed. The cart driver knew that the female corpse must have returned to her original spot. The cart driver attempted to grab his clothes again, and this time, he finally managed to seize his pants. The cart driver hastily put on his pants and ran out barefoot. It seemed like the female corpse heard the noise and started chasing after the fleeing cart driver. However, by the time she reached the side of the morning bed, the cart driver had already opened the room's door and escaped. So, the female corpse pursued the cart driver. He ran while shouting loudly, trying to wake up the neighbors around him. But inexplicably, no one in the village woke up. The cart driver wanted to knock on the innkeeper's door, but he was afraid of delaying and letting the female corpse catch up to him. Therefore, the cart driver desperately ran along the road leading to the county town, heading in the direction of the town with all his might. As he ran, the cart driver saw a temple and even faintly heard the chanting of monks inside. He felt that he had found someone who could save him, so he quickened his pace and ran to the side of the temple, knocking on the temple door. The monks inside the temple were surprised to hear the urgent knocking from outside, and they took their time responding to the person at the door. Just then, the female corpse had already caught up, and she was only about a meter away from him. The cart driver was extremely frightened. Fortunately, there was a large poplar tree outside the temple with a thick trunk. The cart driver ran to the back of the tree, trying to evade the pursuit of the female corpse. The female corpse lunged towards the right side of the tree, and the cart driver escaped to the left. When the female corpse lunged to the left, the cart driver dodged to the right. Unable to catch the cart driver, the female corpse became even more agitated. After a while, the female corpse suddenly stopped and stood still. The cart driver also halted, gasping for breath and appearing exhausted. Suddenly, The female corpse lunged fiercely towards the front of the tree. She extended her arms, reaching out from both sides of the tree trunk to grab the cart driver. The cart driver was so frightened that he fell to the ground. Unexpectedly, the female corpse tightly clung to the tree trunk and gradually became stiff. Inside the temple, the monks had been secretly listening for a long time. When they heard no more sounds, they cautiously came out. They saw the cart driver lying on the ground and, using the light from a lamp, examined him. He seemed to be dead. A brave old monk reached out to touch the cart driver's chest and found that his heart was still beating, and there was still some warmth in his body. So, the monks quickly carried the cart driver into the temple. After a night of treatment, the cart driver gradually woke up. The monks gave him some hot water and asked him about what had happened the previous night. The cart driver detailed his experience to the monks. By this time, the morning bell had already rung, and with the morning sunlight, the monks went to inspect the poplar tree. Sure enough, they saw a female corpse tightly hugging the tree trunk, her body already stiff. The monks were all frightened and quickly informed the local official. The official personally went to the scene to investigate. He asked his assistant to pull the female corpse down from the tree, but no matter how hard the assistant tried, he couldn't do it. After a careful examination, they discovered that the female corpse had long, sharp nails on both hands, deeply embedded into the tree trunk. The official then had several people together exert force to finally pull the female corpse down from the tree. The official sent people to inquire at the inn, and the person returned with a report that the inn had indeed lost a female corpse last night, and all the cart drivers staying there had died. The inn was now in chaos, and the owner was preparing to report the incident to the official. The person continued, "I told the innkeeper about what happened here, and he has come here with me." The innkeeper, an old man, walked over and saw his daughter-in-law with a terrifying face and twisted body. He burst into tears. After crying, he had the female corpse carried back home. The only surviving cart driver, witnessing all of this, finally broke into tears and said to the official, "Sir, when we came here, there were 4 of us, and now there's only me left. This whole thing is too strange. How can the families of the other 3 believe it?" The official nodded and said, "I understand that you're grieving, but the incident has already happened. I will write you a letter of certification to ensure that the families of the deceased can believe it. Additionally, I'll provide you with some money as compensation for the deceased's families." Today's story is about ancient Chinese understanding of zombies. In ancient times, zombies were believed to be transformed from the dead. They couldn't walk and could only hop. They also had long, sharp nails and teeth, giving them a frightening appearance. These zombies were believed to consume the souls of the living, and they were stubborn creatures. Once they clung onto something, they would hold on tightly and never let go. Alright. That's all for today's ghostly tale. A mutated corpse. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. We'll see you in the next episode.